once again saying good morning to all our listeners, locally, regionally, internationally. Let me start by saying hi and hello to some of the folks I know out there who are listening. We start with Rosemary Donald up there in New York, and she's logged on. We got Brenda O'Neill in Charlotte. We got Chris Collins over there in Sheffield in the UK. We have King Sweeney. We have New York Joe. Lots of folks up there. And for the folks here on the ground who are listening, I'm going to get to you. I'm going to touch base with Amber over in Anguilla as we get into another episode of Voices. As I said, today is November 1st. And lots of stuff happening throughout the month, activities, social events. We know for sure that around the 13th of this month, they celebrate, I think, World Diabetes Day, thereabouts. So it's another chance for folks to get, awareness, get the information that is needed to improve your lifestyle. I was told some years ago that diabetes is not a death sentence, and rightly so. But of course, the information, the updates, the awareness has to be part of the conversation as we go forward. So I would say about the 13th of this month, there would be the observance of World Diabetes Day. So that's coming up for the month of November. I don't have any particular topic this morning, but let's talk about an issue that's raising some concerns around the world, even more so within the sub-region, Caribbean, etc. The shipping issue that's causing delivery delays of food items, essential items. We know we are within the region, we're more of a consumer population. And so when shipping is delayed on the international scene, it trickles down to what happens here. There's food scarcity. And then there's almost added on increasing costs for consumers for basic food items. This again brings it to the center the issue of food security, especially in a post-COVID economy. We're not exactly post-COVID, but things are trending that way, if I may say so myself. And so we've had the discussions over the past 2 years, I would say 18, 19 months since COVID first showed up, about the challenges of feeding our people when the ships are not able to roll. We went through a period when the quote-unquote Dominica boat couldn't get here, and so the local population had to scramble to get food. Farmers were encouraged. The government, I would say, energized a program to get farmers and fishers operating on a much bigger level, and that's paying off dividends. But still, the talk is people should be more self-sufficient, the old backyard garden and stuff like that. So you find that's ongoing. I know for a fact that in terms of being able to feed ourselves right now, in terms of growing what we're about 40% capacity of that. The fishers are doing their job, etc. But we are still heavily dependent on imports. Of course, government, they look for that import duty, that levy to help support the economy. And the question, of course, goes to if everybody becomes suppliers, who become the consumers. I know a few weeks ago I went out to buy some groceries, what we call the provisions, ground provisions, and potato was scarce. I know of a particular farmer who decides to grow at certain season because we appear to grow in gluts. Everybody grow the same thing at the same time. And so they have to look at how they manage that approach to growing certain things so that if it's a product that can be grown all year round, you don't grow the same thing where everybody's growing at the same time and it creates. But it's still the challenge of feeding ourselves. As we know, in the next couple of days, weeks, we'll see an increase in food items once it's imported, because that backlog in shipping have a trickle-down effect that ends impacting the wallet of the consumers. So there is that. And then we went through a very long period of angst, awaiting and asking when would the economy be reopened, specifically the cruise industry, Of course, lots of folks in the industry has been affected, not only the frontline workers, but just about. Because if I were to go shopping after I would have worked a cruise ship, I'm going to the farmers. I'm going downtown. I'm going to, so it goes on to help to grow the economy. Tomorrow, we see the arrival of the AIDA Sol, AIDA Sol. It's a large cruise vessel. Even at 50% occupancy, there should be some work for all in the service industry as it relates to tourism. We've had the conversation about taxi operators observing the ships that were coming before, and the work didn't really get to them. This takes it to a different phase. Not only tomorrow we're going to have a larger vessel in port. That's, as I mentioned, will be the AIDA Sol. On Wednesday, you're going to have the Britannica. The Britannica is also a larger vessel, and it does bring mainly out of Europe a large amount of passengers. Port Zante is still a bubble area. We are still in a phase in. We're in the first phase trying to get back to where we were. That will take some time. So certain protocols are being put in place to make sure that all ends are satisfied. The cruise industry is concerned. They want to know their passengers are not exposed to XYZ. We at this end want to make sure that our locals, the frontline workers, don't get exposed to XYZ. And so it's a phased approach to getting back to some sense of normalcy. So on Wednesday, we will have the Britannia. Thursday, we're going to have the Seabourn Odyssey that goes straight to South Friars Bay. And on Thursday also, we have the Ada Luna. That's AIDA-LUNA, sister ship to the Ada Sol. And that's from the Ada Cruise. The first one is Ada Cruise also. You have P&O, which is the Britannia. Viking Orion, that's from the Viking Cruise. That's due on the 8th. So between Tuesday and Thursday, you're going to have, let's see, 6 ships in port. And then we go on to the 8th, Viking Orion again, Ada Luna. So there, this looks like a 7-day cruise. But the fact is the month of November sees a huge uptick in the cruise ship arrival. And we can only hope that it portends to gain for the Federation. That's what we depend on. It was established as the #1 foreign revenue earner. Very much handicapped as was much of the world with the arrival of COVID-19. And so I've been fielding questions from taxi drivers as to how and when and what. It has been said that only fully vaxxed drivers, operators, will be allowed to operate. Currently, that list of operators reposes in the hands of the Tourism Authority, and they, by way of a rotation, determines who should be called, who will be called next, etc. You will have gone through the inspection of your vehicle, all the safety protocols. You'll be deemed travel ready. And we see what tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, have to see what folks have to say, because next Monday, hopefully, I will be here to give a recap and feedback from what would have transpired after a week of activity. So those are the things that if anybody wishes to call in and speak to, I know some taxi drivers still have questions as to who is going to call them, why they're not being called, what's happening at the port in terms of dispatching. We would have not had any major activity in terms of passengers coming to the independent queue, so to speak. And so the dispatching operation that was day before is not there at the moment. We have officials from the Department of Tourism who are doing that. And so a while ago, I got concerned, well, they're not really approaching the guests. Everything takes time. We will not be at that phase where we were some time ago. So I would suggest that we exercise some patience as the cruise industry, the ships are now returning, and we have to make sure that nothing happens to interrupt and cancel out that arrangement that has been made. We have to look first at the safety and health concerns of our population, and we accept things won't be as they were before. In the meantime, as I said, the persons due to work tomorrow and on the days of those ships will be working in a rotation. You'll be contacted from the tourism ministry. So food security and the role of the ships tomorrow. If you wish to join us, the numbers to call are 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989, and we go further afield. We have 718-265-6948, 508-921-4619, and from the UK we got 0333-044-055. And we go to the phone lines for call. Caller, good day. You're live on Voices. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, the King.
Good morning, sir. How about thou?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Not too bad for an old man. Count the blessings.
Okay, now let's talk about food security.
Certainly.
The King, there's a serious happening pertaining to food security in the U.S., specifically in L.A. A lot of the supermarkets there, the shelves are seriously empty.
Okay.
And it's like a silent deafening because no one is touching it. Down here in St. Kitts and Nevis, I think our officials, our government, and those in authority need to pay serious attention to agriculture. Now, you mentioned something about you went to get sweet potato.
Yes, 2 weeks ago.
Shockingly, what we now considered to be poor people's food, well, the prices are ridiculously high. And most of the time when you purchase your product from the vendors and you get home, to your disappointment, and this has happened to me twice, maybe 3 times, that I bought sweet potato, and when I get home to cook whether some soup or something, the sweet potatoes are rotten on the inside.
True.
For whatever reason, I don't know. I'm advising anyone who experienced this to always take a picture of your product when you come across this, whether it's potato, dasheen, as it happens. And most of the time, I have taken it back to the vendor that I purchased from, and they replenish with, any other product that they might have.
Wonderful.
The King, I want to touch on Mayor Matley's speech at the UN, if you would permit me.
You got the mic, go right ahead.
Now, I think most people may be aware of Mayor Matley's speech, and there's hardly any support. I want us to lend support. When I say us, the people and the government, our Prime Minister. We need to seriously consider Mayor Matley's lead. When I say her lead, I'm referring to her leadership and her stand on her speech at the UN. Because we know that Barbados have now severed her connection with the UK. And I think she's gearing towards doing business with the continent of Africa. Now, we can now fly from Barbados to Kenya. We can fly from Jamaica to Nigeria. We need to support this move, the King.
Absolutely.
It is brutal that we consider this because this is our future. Now, when you know something, you cannot but just speak about it. If you're silent, absent from what is happening in terms of going forward, then our people need to be reached. Mia Motley has taken a giant step, and like most of us would say, it takes a woman. The men are failures. With respect, our male leaders are failures because once we are connected to the Western system, it is not for our development. Let me repeat that. Once our leaders are connected to the West system, it is not for our development. Also, the King, last Monday, I mentioned something, and you asked me to be specific as to the biblical story that says that we were taken by ships. Let's take note, the King, if you have a pen, if you're interested. The passage that you asked me about is in Deuteronomy chapter 28, from verse 48 to 68. You would come up, when I'm outlining verses, the King, I want whoever is listening to read from verse 1. Deuteronomy chapter 28, it has 68 verses.
Wow.
And from verse 48, with your permission, just permit me to just read this shortly. Therefore thou shalt serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in darkness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Last week, Monday, I said, whenever anyone find a race of people who were taken by ship and had a yoke of iron around their neck, they would come upon the chosen people. I don't want to change your topic.
Yes, you did.
Because I'm going to get back in on it. But I want you and the listeners to know that we are the firstborn of creation. We are hated by the antithesis of creation. The antithesis is the one that gave us their narrative in the book. And there's another word besides antithesis, the King. It is called Leviathan. And it is in this same book that we are reading. The Leviathan are the enemy of the chosen people of God. A lot of people are asking questions today that why we are hated this much, why people can kill us this much. That is their nature, to kill.
Okay.
That's their nature.
Give me a wrap up, please, because we've got to go to a station break, and then you get back in the program, okay?
So,
appreciate
that. For those who are listening, just go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and from verse 48 to 68. 68 will tell you about how we were taken by ships by the enemy. So when anyone wants to know who are the chosen people, Deuteronomy chapter 28 from verse 48 to 68, you will get your knowledge of who we are and why we are hated this much. I'll try to get the King to follow up with Mia Motley's speech.
Thank you very much for that contribution. As we pause for a word from the sponsors, take it away, Sherman.
Fruta, taste the real Fruta, enjoy the real Fruta, refreshing juice of every day. Whoa, Fruta, drink the real Fruta, your favorite real Fruta, the natural taste is Fruta. Fruta.
Your favorite fruit has got a new skin with real juice within. Drink the real Fruta. Enjoy the real joy.
Taste the real Fruta, enjoy the real Fruta, refreshing juice of every day is Fruta.
Fruta, juiced right.
Triple the joy at home as you elevate your experience with Flo's new Triple Play bundles. For the first time ever, bundle up and save on internet, TV, and home phone together for more satisfaction. For as low as $175, enjoy up to 35 megabits per second super fast internet, 70 TV channels with HD entertainment, and free landline minutes with the all-in bundle. Visit your nearest Flo store to sign up for a Triple Play bundle. Conditions apply.
We're back. We're back. I had a joke in the intermission. Yes, we're live on Voices, broadcasting from WINNFM 98.9 on the FM dial. My name is Socrates. I'm in the shade today. I'm going to go straight back to the phone lines, if we may. Go to the caller, you're live on Voices.
Good morning, the King.
Good morning, sir. How about now?
I'm giving thanks for life.
Count the blessings first. We're
Another
good to
day,
go.
beautiful day on the land of the living.
Definitely.
And yourself?
I count my blessings first, so all else I just brush off the shoulder. They don't measure up.
Okay. Can I have permission to speak?
Certainly.
I tuned in earlier when I heard you spoke about what the arrangement is for the next season coming up with what emanated from...
Expectations, yeah.
Yes, right. The press conference and everything to do with tourism and taxi drivers and what the arrangements are. I understand. What is the situation concerning the safari?
They are now an approved tour. We're talking about the safaris. That tour has been approved, but only to the prescribed areas. Example, there is also a proper notice that when the ships are in ports and tours are on, the Fortress, Fairview Inn, the Batik Factory, they're closed to the public. So these are some of the prescribed areas one can go to on the tours. Black Rocks also is mentioned as being closed to the public. So as far as the safari goes, they can function, they're now an approved tour, but only to the prescribed areas. Does that answer your question?
Yes, because for too long, I thought that iDriver hires, Toyota hires.
Yes.
I was told to put this plastic that would sever myself as a driver from
the partition, yes.
Right. I thought it was counterproductive that, and I was also told to, have my windows open.
Correct.
I thought that, the safaris was an ideal.
Vehicle.
And I'm speaking for all persons. I am not going to go to the table to represent with just a third or two-thirds of what my representation might entail. I am speaking for safaris, non-safaris, coasters, hires, taxis, small minivans, and the like. I'm speaking for all and sundry.
Correct.
So I thought it was counterproductive when it comes to the safari. That they had gotten a real tough deal because here is it, they're partitioned by not by a plastic but by glass in the front, the driver. And then we were in the highest, we were told to have our windows open. The guests behind can enjoy the lovely breeze.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have thought that as things progresses, the guests would request safaris because there will be some returnees who have enjoyed the experience of a safari and they would request. So having the safaris out of it, I thought that, there was given the safari. I am not an owner of a safari. And all of us, we are people in the trade, however which way. would have I gotten a safari in the future? Maybe, because we would have seen the trend that safari's experience is a good, and it's a good sell. And so I thought the safaris was given a real hard deal.
Well,
So I mean,
let me see if I can help you
they are
here.
part of it now.
Let me see if I can help you here, right? In our discussion with the task force about 10 days ago, we were talking about the other two presidents and myself. We raised, no, that was about 3 weeks ago, we raised a question about the safari not being part of the tour experience. And I was told by an official that they were told that the safari stopped in the various village by the various shops. And the response was, yes, that was pre-COVID. But once they're allowed to operate, they will be guided by the protocols that the task force will suggest. And so at a meeting 2 weeks ago, that came up again. And then surprisingly, last Wednesday, it was, at the press conference by Minister Grant, he declared that they know an approved tour. So there was somebody giving the wrong impression and somebody not getting the right information. But because we had that conversation, clarity was brought to the whole issue and the safaris, which is a more ideal vehicle for that particular tour. The driver up front is already compartmentalized. You have more open space in the back, so the guests can space themselves out. And so that consideration came as a result of a conversation that they didn't have prior with the right persons. And so you said, you would have thought, I would have thought so too. But somebody was not giving the right information to the right people in the right manner. That bridge have been crossed, and they're now a part of the tour experience.
Can I give you another thought?
Certainly, go right ahead.
A personal thought?
Go right ahead.
Somewhere along the line that the arrangement with the safaris, you mentioned about the different destinations, the different stops that would be open close to the general public.
Yes, the prescribed areas.
Right, okay. What had transpired with my observation is that the safaris used to go to maybe this, the boutique, and come back to Bastia, as opposed to other buses that would have gone to Brimstone Hill and Black Rocks, and you mentioned Bathurst earlier.
Yes.
It seems, this is just my take, my observation, it seems like somebody begrudged that arrangement, and it's before COVID. And the way the safaris would have timed their business, they would have done maybe 2 or 3 movement a day.
Tours.
Right. And that wasn't really sitting comfortable with somebody or person. So here was an opportune moment now to really stop the safaris. I mean, I drive a Hiace and I don't begrudge nobody.
Mm-hmm.
But here with it, we are in a community where some family of mine might have a small shop that a safari will patronize. And the money stays with us in our community. So it's not like the safari guys, they're going to go to the Western Union and, send off the monies that they make. The money comes in our community. So why would I begrudge that? It seems to me that is just my own opinion. So this was an opportune moment to stop the safaris in their track.
Okay.
And get them. I mean, it's like they really showed the safaris so far that I am elated now to hear that there is a part
It's
of
now resolved.
What is it?
That issue is now resolved.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my take on my observation. As for me now, I just want to ask a question.
Go right ahead.
We know successful businesses, we know organizations always have advisors behind them to really advise them. Those guys who have the measurement to test the water, to do all the testing and say, well, this is the way I think you should go. Have you, and I can only ask you because you're not there in the studio as representing the other associations, has your associations ever contemplate the thought of having an advisor? Do you have an advisor?
We do.
You do?
You may recall when, well, you don't know the detail, but when I took over the tax corp back in February last year, I employed the expertise, the people who knew better than I, and they were the ones who guided us in a very short period of time to get him back on an even keel. One of the persons have since traveled, but during the last meeting we had at Port Zante, a person came forward who have expertise in a certain field, and I volunteered her to be part of the new committee. There's a new committee, and let me say this: the other two presidents and I are on the same page. We're going forward with the program, and that particular person has expertise. She's a retired person, and she will join us. So we're getting experts to guide us forward. But in terms of what you asked, I did consult persons with more experience in various fields, and we were able to get, because we don't know everything all by our own. We have to contact the persons who know. I do not go and mess with electricity at all.
I also listen to the King.
Yes, sir.
I also listen to a voice, a familiar voice, a former taxi guy. His name is Quincy.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like he was in the business quite a while, and
long time, way back.
Makes sense. He makes a lot of sense when he speaks. So apart from you having your own personal advisor, listen to the voice of Quincy.
It's not my own personal advisor, It's not my own personal.
The organization.
And Quincy and I dialogue all the time. All the time.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
When I come to the fore and I lend my voice, I know those in authorities listen. I have had an influence. And just earlier when I spoke about and talking about the safaris, I am a person that is all-inclusive. And I hope when we are being represented, the whole fraternities are, every member is being represented in a fair and just way. Because at the end of the day, whatever we make goes around in our economy.
That is correct.
I was told that the Prime Minister, it's just a fact. I don't want to come across with the notion of the hearsay. But if Mr. Prime Minister, if your advisors are listening to you, you know me, and if you are going to assist the taxis, do not be, selective in the preferential aspect as to who might get bailed out and who might not get bailed out. That's not the way to go. All of us is in this thing together. And whether we religiously or health aspect or whatever other thing, a person don't seem to take a vaccine, it may be they choose, they have an alternative with the testing, cool. But do not sideline anyone because of these things, because at the end of the day, we are going to be responsible for whatever we do in this life, and there is a higher power is going to be the judge of us all.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much for that contribution. I'm gonna address that last concern you raised, but let me first try something else. I got something that says media release. Antigua and Barbuda, and it might be a typo. I see Tuvalu. What's that? Tuvalu? Is that a country or territory? Tuvalu. Okay, Antigua and Barbuda and Tuvalu to seek justice for climate change damage before international court. Edinburgh, October 31st, 2021. The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, current affairs of the Alliance, it says current chair, of the Alliance of Small Island States, AOSIS, and the Prime Minister of Tuvalu today signed a historic accord that opens the way for groundbreaking litigation before international courts. This offers a novel legal path to address the severe damage to small island states caused by climate change. The agreement establishes a commission of small island states on the climate change and international law, creating a body for the development and implementation of fair and just global environmental norms and practices. The Commission is also authorized to request advisory opinions from the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, ITLOS, on the legal responsibility of states for carbon emissions, marine pollution, and rising sea levels. Membership in the commission is open to all small island states whose leaders have long complained about the absence of effective mechanisms for states most responsible for climate change to compensate for resulting losses and damage. I'll pause there. That's an ongoing issue. I think there was a news item this morning about a country in Africa, I think it's Senegal, on a coastal region whose fishing industry, who they depended on for eons, is now damaged, the Atlantic coast. It showed the habitats severely damaged. And one of the guy interviewed said, like, to paraphrase, we don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. We don't know what we're going to do next. So they're dependent. They have been dependent on that fishing industry along the coastal region for eons and due to climate change damage. So this article that you sent me raises also the concern as to how it affects islands in the region, etc. The thing is that we go to the same people who create the damage for redress. That's the problem. We have a situation with, in the U.S. Congress with Joe Manchin. He owns the coal industry. So he's pushing back against any form of legislation that would affect or shift the energy from coal to wind and solar. He is pushing back because he's the owner of a coal mining industry. And he's with a consortium of other affiliates who would not like to see the change. So he's in Congress. He's a millionaire, if not a billionaire, representing his own interests. But they're the legislators that we depend on for redress. It's like going to the devil for justice. And so, yes, Journey mentioned, he made mention of what I brought up as a topic, the food security. And he was saying in LA, the shelves are bare, blah, 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 blah. But that's due to a shipping issue. And that reminds me of back in way, way before you were born, in the 1970s. When Nixon was supporting the Jews. He was supplying arms to the Jews. And the Arabs who controlled the oil industry back then said, no, you can't do that. And so they brought an oil embargo on the U.S. And that affected the globe because everything then hinged on travel. Your ships, your plane, your gun transportation, they put an oil embargo in place. And that shut down the world economy. That is when we had the first major, I won't say major depression, but the whole world was affected. And so we come to the next stage where shipping is now an issue and it affects the cost of living for people who are not even a part of that conversation. Because the shipping, the availability are not of food items and other products because we are consumers. If you don't get it by a certain time, the interest goes up, ships are up, they're waiting, they're paying their crew, and it comes back to hurting us in our pockets. Are we ready for another break or is it a caller? Okay, we pause now for a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Triple the joy at home as you elevate your experience with Flo's new Triple Play bundles. For the first time ever, bundle up and save on internet, TV, and home phone together for more satisfaction. For as low as $175, enjoy up to 35 megabits per second super fast internet, 70 TV channels with HD entertainment, and free landline minutes with the all-in bundle. Visit your nearest Flo store to sign up for a Triple Play bundle. Conditions apply.
Dishes done, you're smiling. Pump it up with quick. Keep pumping. Pump it up some more. Pump it up. Grease is gone for sure. Pump it up. All your dishes fixed. Pump it up. Pump it up with quick. I don't want a dirty sink. Keep pumping.
WINNFM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WINNFM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
Listeners, welcome back to Voices. My name is Socrates, host of today's segment. You're listening to WINNFM 98.9 on the FM dial. It's Monday, November 1st, and we are engaged in another chit-chat with the public. The numbers to call, of course, you can find them. Let's see if it's showing help in the meantime. 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. And those are your local numbers to call. I want to say hi once again to Amber over there in Anguilla. Now, there are times we discuss issues that affect other parts of the world, and we're told, well, we need to fix the problems here first. You're talking about things happening in Haiti. You're talking about things happening in Africa. I don't know if there's a way of the word called interdependence. We are interdependent on each other. And there was a discussion recently about what's happening in Haiti and what CARICOM is or is not doing to assist the situation. We know there's a whole issue with the kidnapping. We have the whole thing with the poverty over there and hospitals not being able to function because lack of power. And there are neighbors, there are people. So I'm saying France at the same time. I mean, pressure has to be put on those European countries. While we are waiting to have discussion of reparation, build a hospital in Haiti. They've not built any schools. They have not built any infrastructure. You ask what the government is doing, or they're corrupt, they're taking bribe. It's the puppet master that's causing all the chaos over there. And so with all they're going through, well, somebody built hospital, please, in Haiti. We hear Elon Musk saying that he's going to give what is this, some kind of $1 billion if they can prove that would alleviate poverty. You have the discussion about what he and Jeff Bezos would have paid to go to space, how they could easily give a percentage of that to alleviate poverty, etc. And they speak about the charities that they support. But generally, as we said, there's enough for everyone's need, not for everyone's greed. And we need to understand that we in this, in the region, we have to reach out or help our neighbors where and how and when we can. So there is that. Numbers to call again, 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. Father Field 718. And we go straight to the phone lines. Caller, good day, welcome to the program. Good day, caller, you're live in Voices, welcome to the program.
Yes, the King, it's Journey here again.
I just called your name, you're scratching the head or something. Go ahead.
The King, we need to understand this system that are playing out against us, From Haiti to Barbados, Myanmar, everything that is pertaining to us, we are the target. We are the target on every sphere. And these...
Why are we the targets?
Because we are the firstborn. We are the firstborn. Everything that they gave us in the Black Book, the story
the Black Book
Esau
meaning?
and Jacob, the Bible.
Okay.
The story of Esau and Jacob, the division in the book of Numbers, chapter 11, when the people were one and they thought about building the Babel Tower. They spoke one language. There was one togetherness. They told us that God came down and scattered the people and confounded their language. Our God is not against oneness. It's not against togetherness. Ask yourself the question, who divided us?
Well, to engage in the story, right? It is said that it was because the people were building a false god. They were trying to get to God through this tower, and so he took offense with that. I mean, I will give you the same story. I'm just telling you what I heard, so you tell me what you
Yes. I'm fully aware of that. Also, now they were building a tower. Now, whether that was a metaphor, whether it was a parable, the story, they were together. They were one language. Today, back then, they built a Babel tower. How far did it go? You and I don't know. But today we know that they have created, they have placed satellites in the sky. Now, they told us that heaven is in the sky. So they were building the Babel tower to reach to God. What have gotten closer to God if God is in the sky now? Isn't the same satellites that they're now putting up there? So if the people were building the Babel tower from Earth, who have created these satellites that they have placed up in orbit? And how closer are they now to the God that they say is in the heavens?
Johnny, I can't go
Are you
with you.
following me?
I'm following your logic. I'm following your logic. So.
Okay. Now, we are targeted because we are the firstborn, and they told us that Esau sold his birthright through subtlety because Jacob himself said, Mom, how can I commit such wickedness? And sidelining the mother, they say, oh, let this sin be upon me. Today they are telling us that they have seared their hearts with a hot iron to let the wicked genocide and the atrocity that they are committing against us be passed on to their generation. The king, we need to wake up, because everything that is in this version was transposed from those who said the Exodus from Egypt and went into their space and gave to the Greek. And the Greek also turned against those who exodus out of Egypt because they found what they gave them was not sufficient enough knowledge. And then the Greek came, and they came with the military power, and they destroyed. They have our blueprint, our papyri, they have them at their disposal, and that 5% of our knowledge is what they are putting upon us today through Christianity. The king, I can't share everything in just one Voices program.
Have you thought of doing a podcast?
I already told you. I have domestic issues that I have to attend to.
Okay.
So I have to use this medium right now.
Okay.
But the king, what I'm saying is we need to lend support for our survival to Mia Motley, and food security and agriculture. We have to get serious with it here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I want our
Based on
Prime
the
Minister,
programs you've seen unfolding over the last couple of months in St. Kitts, do you think the government is serious about agriculture? Because I'm impressed. You have so many young persons coming forward.
I can't say whether they are serious or not because I don't know what they know. Now, one can say, yes, they know what is happening because they are leaders. Now, let me just touch on something briefly that I heard in the news this morning pertaining to the Premier of Nevis and something that our Prime Minister said pertaining to shares. 200 million, and Mark saying that 200 million sound like a lot. Now, to me, I don't know who is being greedy, whether Mark or the Prime Minister here. But
can you give me some background context, please?
Well, Mark said something that is very profound. Mark raised the question as to Nevis got 200 million or something way about there. And he asked, if Nevis get 200 million, and that sounds like a lot, he wants to know how much St. Kitts got. Now, the pandemic, to no fault of our own, has touched all of us' lives. You, me, and all of us who are in the tourist industry, the airlines, and all the taxis. What are they doing for agriculture with all this 200 million, or whether Nevis get 200 million, St. let's say St. Kitts have 400 million. What is going into agriculture? Because seriously, we need to consider agriculture. Because what is happening out there?
I think the
we have
Minister
lost
of
people.
Agriculture is from Nevis.
Sorry?
I think the Minister of Agriculture is from Nevis, and we know that when it comes to Nevisians, because of the peasantry arrangement from years ago, they've always had land and they're really pro-agriculture. And he being from Nevis and pro-agriculture, I've been to forums where they're speaking about assisting, developing, helping the farmers, the fishers, etc. So it's a very aggressive program. But you're saying that we need to get serious. So within that context, I would ask you to define serious for me.
We need to consider feeding ourselves on a more higher level, because I mentioned earlier that since the pandemic, I went to the agriculture department and I purchased some seedlings up there. I tried to reproduce them to no avail. Nothing happened. Now, I don't know. I think that they are GMOs, and the little that I am discovering about GMO.
Till now?
The fact, sorry?
Till now?
Well, I just started.
Okay.
So I remember before, we used to have sweet pepper, we used to have eggplant, and if you dry those seeds in the sun, you can always sow them, and they come back and you get the same product.
They will
What
reproduce.
I got from the agriculture department in early this year.
Okay.
The bare ones, and I dried the seeds and nothing came back. Nothing.
I see where you're coming from.
So we need to get organic seeds. We need to focus more on agriculture and start feeding ourselves. Now, let me share briefly. If the Prime Minister is listening, I want him to support Mia Motley's lead, understand that she made a speech at the first ever African Caribbean Summit that I haven't heard anyone touch. She made a speech at the UN, and I like to say, once water fell on the earth, it cannot be retrieved. But for me, listening to Mia Motley's speech at the UN and at the African Summit, we need to seriously get on board, because those who divide us, they have no interest in uniting us. And our unity will cripple the misery that these Leviathan has placed upon us.
Okay.
Our unity will cripple the Leviathan misery that they have placed upon us.
Okay, sir.
Thank you for hearing me, the King.
Much appreciated the call. You're touching something that takes me back to when, after the earthquake in Haiti, I think it was 2010 thereabouts, when Monsanto sent down seedlings for the Haitian population, and they dumped them into the ocean. And people reacted. How could they do that? This organization is trying to help the Haitians by sending seeds for them to plant food. Okay, let's take this last caller. We have 2 minutes before news time, so caller, you're live on Voices. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm okay, yourself?
I'm listening. I don't have a lot of time.
That's true. Go ahead.
But I just want to say to the caller who called earlier and using Deuteronomy 28.
And do I what?
Again, I'm asking please to get this fact straight. If you go
Okay.
to Deuteronomy 27, you would realize that the prophecy was for Israel, or the commands given, the threats of disease and danger would be against Israel. It had nothing to do with Africans. And then if you go to Ezekiel 36 and 37, he would read where God now declared that he will restore Israel to its land. He will make them prosperous. No enemy will come and destroy them, and they will be a great nation. So I just want him to go and please check his facts and make sure. Don't be biased because you're black. Say what the word is saying and who this word is speaking to, okay? Thank you.
So you're saying, sir, that the passage that the young man referred to references the Israelites, not Africans.
Yes.
And he would have read the wrong text? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sure he's listening,
Good.
and I know he's going to call back to sort of rectify it or not. All right, we got about 10 minutes before news time. Let me see if we can drop this in. Yes, the Haitians dumped those seeds into the ocean because those seeds do not reproduce. So if what John is saying, he went to the agricultural department, he bought seeds, and they did not reproduce. That's what happened. You're buying things that has been genetically modified. Somebody says, Johnny, you probably don't have a green thumb. But I recall back in the day when we go to buy eggs from the current Minister of Tourism's grandfather, they fed those chickens two things. One was called Leina, the other was called Groina. In a matter of 3 weeks, those chickens would be like fully grown, and the Leina would have them laying eggs until they died. And that's where we bought the chicken, way back in the 70s. Leina and Groina, GMOs, and our people are still buying those eggs and that chicken today. And we've got to go now for the midday newscast, and God's willing, we'll be back after. Enjoy your lunch. If you're traveling, you're driving, be safe, and don't forget to check us back after the lunch and interlude.
Feel the magic happening.
Campari.
Taste.
Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
Triple the joy at home as you elevate your experience with Flo's new Triple Play bundles. For the first time ever, bundle up and save on internet, TV, and home phone together for more satisfaction. For as low as $175, enjoy up to 35 megabits per second super fast internet, 70 TV channels with HD entertainment, and free landline minutes with the all-in bundle. Visit your nearest Flo store to sign up for a Triple Play bundle. Conditions apply.
Different. We're 98.9 Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Cariboury.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the Win headline news, I am Devon Cornelius. Making the headlines: escaped prisoner surrenders to authorities. A second stimulus package payouts exceed $7 million. Across the region, CARICOM congratulates Antigua and Barbuda on 40th independence anniversary. Internationally, G20 says climate action is critical but only offer modest steps. Now the details. Police have confirmed that the escaped prisoner has turned himself in after being on the run for more than 24 hours. 50-year-old Alfonso Thompson turned himself into police on Sunday night. Thompson, a resident of West Farm, St. Kitts, escaped custody on Friday night while at the JNF General Hospital receiving medical treatment. He was convicted on October 22, 2021 for the offense of making use of threatening language and was sentenced to serve 30 days. A total of $7.9 million EC has been paid out to more than 3,000 people under the income support program that forms part of the second stimulus package introduced by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Our income support package has provided critical assistance to 3,025 persons at a cost of $7.9 million to date. Another batch of applications is having a second review to ensure that every citizen and resident who qualify for the various forms of support receive this assistance.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Dr. Timothy Harris. In July 2021, the government announced a second stimulus package valued at $15 million EC for people made redundant since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020 and those who remain unemployed. Qualified applicants received a monthly stipend of $1,000 EC that was expected to last for 3 months.
A significant number of families with persons living with disabilities receive well-needed support. So far, 155 families were assisted with a total payout to date of $325,500.
The income support program also includes a fuel subsidy for bus operators.
To date, 109 bus operators have received support amounting to $129,800 over the last 3 months.
WINNFM has been interviewing small businesses and entrepreneurs in St. Kitts and Nevis on how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected their day-to-day operations and lives. Dominique Lescott tells us more.
As part of our investigation into how local businesses have been affected by COVID, WINNFM spoke to local farmer Kevin Charles.
My name is Kevin Charles. I'm a small farmer here in Upper Hamilton. The name of my business is KSK Uphill Farms, located in the top region of Hamilton. The pandemic had impacted me, and I know a lot of small businesses and small farmers like myself in a few ways. For instance, it had been my goal to improve my farm, improve my breed, import some higher quality animals to mix with my locals to get a better yield, But since Corona and the impact of Corona, I have not been able to. It was my intention to borrow a small loan from the Small Enterprises Development Unit in Nevis, Cedu, to improve my animals. But I have not been able to do that because of financial constraints. Well, we have a livestock WhatsApp group chat here in Nevis where we would share information, For instance, if my animals went missing, I can say, well, I'm missing some animals, if any one of you would see it anywhere, because since there's a number of us in the chat that we relate to one another and get information, is very useful. It's very, very useful and helpful. I wish we would come together and have some proper associations going so we can be able to access, more resources to push the farming.
To date, we have spoken with Nivision pilot Sean Springett and Sukora Tyson of the Bamboo Bar. The Caribbean Community CARICOM has congratulated the government and people of Antigua and Barbuda on the country's 40th anniversary of independence, which it celebrates on November 1st, 2021. 40 years of statehood is a milestone in the history of a country, and there is much for Antigua and Barbuda to be proud as a nation, CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett said in a congratulatory message to Prime Minister the Honorable Gaston Brown. This year's theme, Resilience, Reflection and Recovery, is relevant for the challenging times that Antigua and Barbuda is traversing as the country strives to recover from the devastating health, social and economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Secretary General added, noting that the strength and indomitable character of the people of Antigua and Barbuda, guided by the government, augur well for a better future. Dr. Barnett commended Antigua and Barbuda's historic commitment to regional integration and the Prime Minister's leadership as head of government with lead responsibility in the quasi-cabinet for services and as current chair of the community. The community wishes you, Honorable Prime Minister, and the people of Antigua and Barbuda continued success in your sustained efforts at nation building, the Secretary General said.
On the final day of the G20 summit, leaders from the world's biggest economies visited one of Rome's most famous tourist sites, Trevi Fountain. Its beauty was one they all could agree on. More difficult was hammering out a concrete plan to tackle the climate crisis. The final communiqué, characterized by compromise and vague language, stated that member countries are committed to reaching net zero emissions or carbon neutrality by or around mid-century. They did agree to stop funding the building of coal plants in poor countries. They set no target, however, for phasing out domestic coal use. The Italian Prime Minister, who hosted the summit, tried to focus on what he saw as success.
Siamo riusciti nel senso di
We managed to keep our dreams alive, to commit to further measures and gigantic allocations of money, further pledges of reductions, and that's the success, given that in recent months it seemed that the emerging countries in particular had no intention of making further commitments.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was clearly disappointed for the group's failure to make more ambitious commitments.
The solution to climate change is clear. It lies in consigning dirty fossil fuels like coal to history, in ditching gas-guzzling modes of transport, and recognizing the role that nature plays in preserving life on this planet.
Leaders acknowledged the need to close the COVID-19 vaccine gap by helping to boost supplies with the goal of vaccinating 70% of the world's population by mid-2022. Important talks took place on the sidelines Sunday. U.S. President Joe Biden highlighted the environmental benefits of a deal he announced with the EU that rolled back Trump-era tariffs on steel and aluminum.
The United States and the European Union have agreed to negotiate the world's first trade agreement based on how much carbon is in a product.
Environmental groups are concerned that if the G20, a group of 19 countries in the EU, can't make binding commitments, it will be even tougher for delegates from 200 countries now meeting in Glasgow to agree on concrete steps to keep global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius. Scientists say that's needed to avert the worst projections of climate disaster. Adam Rainey, Al Jazeera, Rome.
China called a new declassified U.S. intelligence report on COVID-19 unscientific on Sunday. The report claimed the pandemic could have possibly originated in a lab. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said in a statement, quote, "A lie repeated 1,000 times is still a lie," and added U.S. intelligence services have a reputation for fraud and deception. The U.S. briefing published earlier in the weekend said a lab leak in China was just as plausible an explanation as a natural origin theory to explain how COVID-19 first infected humans, but also that the truth may never be known. China has consistently denied allegations its virology lab in Wuhan was the source of the first outbreak, first identified at the end of 2019. A joint study by China and the World Health Organization published this year said COVID-19 most likely infected humans via the wildlife trade, and all but ruled out a lab leak theory. But critics have said the study failed to investigate the Wuhan labs. The WHO established a new group last month to study the pandemic's origins and called on China to supply raw data to help the new investigation. China declined, citing patient privacy rules. On Sunday, Wang repeated China's calls for the U.S. to open its own lab in Fort Detrick to an international probe.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Caribbean.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea, or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Paint it, style it, improve it. Your walls, paint it. Your rooms, style it. Your home, improve it with huge savings at the Hospital's Building and Nevis Center's Paint It, Style It, Improve It sales event. Come to Hospital's Building and Nevis Center now and get savings of 25% off all paints, plus deals and discounts store-wide on home improvement items. Paint it with 25% off all paints. Style it and improve it with other deals and discounts store-wide. It's your home, so paint it, style it, and improve it at the Hospital's Building and Nevis Center. Paint it, style it, improve it sales event. 25% off all paints and more. Come now, save big, and simply paint it, style it, and improve it. Event starts now and ends December 31st, 2021. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
I want it all. It's that time again. Triple Cashback is back, but with more. Triple your cashback with Triple Play. Triple the savings, triple the cashback, and get a chance to win. Triple the cashback for more free groceries at Horseman's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store today. Yes, for the rest of 2021. Horseman's Furniture and Appliances is tripling your savings with triple cashback coupons for even more free groceries for all FlexPay hire purchase customers. But that's not all. Every hire purchase customer gets a chance to win up to triple their triple cashback in free groceries in the Triple Play. The Triple Play game show gives 2 lucky customers a chance to triple their triple cashback for free groceries and win lots and lots of prizes and more. If you get $500 in coupons for free groceries, you get a chance to get up to triple that amount with our Triple Play game show promotion. That means you get $1,500 in coupons for free groceries. And remember, every hire purchase customer gets a chance to win free groceries for a year. Plus with Triple Cashback Triple Play. Come now, don't miss it.
On my clock it says 20 minutes past midday, so it's afternoon to all our listeners and viewers. Once again, welcome back to Voices. My name is Socrates, host of today's program, and we want to thank all our callers who joined us earlier. Those who missed the shout-outs, Brenda O'Neill, good afternoon to you up there in Charlotte, and of course, you're one of the many friends of the Federation. Now, to touch on something that Africa alluded to this morning when he called, I know some people would want some clarity as to what he was referring to when he says that, Prime Minister, if you're listening, I'm actually paraphrasing, but he was more or less admonishing him to be, if you're going to give this stimulus package or assist with the bailout, make sure it's across the board. Don't just give one or to one set or the other set. To give some context to that, keep saying A few months ago, the other two presidents from the taxi association and we had asked the taxi operators to assist us in making an assessment of their situation since COVID hit, by way of filling out a form that spoke to their situation, financial, if they were able to meet their mortgages or not, stuff that they were going through. I think the final count is like 100 and something person would have filled out those forms, and we were able to take them in a subsequent meeting to the relevant authorities. The idea was to ask assistance, a bailout, if you will, of those who were in dire straits. This was being the persons who could not make the payments, who were actually making their payments on a regular basis, some even paid in advance up until COVID hit. But because of what happened, they were unable to, and all the interest that was accruing, seeking assistance in that regard. And having delivered them, a question was asked about how many amongst us were vaccinated. I don't think it was put in the context, well, we are only going to assist those who are vaccinated. But the question was raised, and so the impression could very, very easily be taken that, if they choose to help, it will be on the basis of only those who've been vaccinated. I cannot say that was the thinking. I don't know what's in a person's mind, but that's not the approach we took. And as you indicated, Africa, we hope that that's not the response or the stance they'll be taking if they choose to assist. So that was to give clarity to that particular concern that you raised. I know there are some drivers who've questioned whether or not, or have taken a position in not taking the vaccination. They would have to, if they wish to, be able to have works sent to them, given to them, because, as I say, it currently stands that the Tourism Authority are calling operators to work the cruise ships based on whose information they would have gone through and fill out the forms and shown proof of vaccination. Those are the ones who have been called. There is a large percentage of drivers who have taken a position for one reason or the other are not taking the vaccination. So the question is, if considerations are to be given to persons who have been affected negatively, financially, because of, will it be on the basis of those who would have taken the vaccination versus those who did not? And we pause for a call from the public. Caller 11 Voices. Good afternoon. Go right ahead.
Hello. Good day. How are you doing?
Not too bad for old man. Yourself? Your name was called earlier, so here you are.
How are you doing?
I'm hanging in.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
I stay away from the radio for quite a while, and a lot of things run into my head.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most amazing things run through my head. You remember as a kid growing up, when we come to a railway crossing, you used to get a sign mark, stop, look, and listen?
Correct.
What we doing these days?
You tell me.
The sugar industry closed and the signs them coming down, but what remember we?
Talk to me, Quincy. Talk to us.
Okay. You just mentioned something about the vaccinated and the blah. Now, I find it was rather disrespectful in the first stimulus package that people who had a business license couldn't be compensated in the fallout. They say you had to be a member of Social Security.
You had to be, yes, yeah.
Right. Okay. So then it comes back that a guy calling on the radio and tell the Prime Minister the second stimulus now, if the guys that ain't vaccinated, don't give them none.
That was
I heard him for myself on the Tuesday night program.
Okay.
He told the Prime Minister if the guys them who he want to give, like the boss man them, if they ain't vaccinated, don't give them no stimulus.
Wow.
So why we who ain't has no input, as in the money ain't belongs to us. So if the money ain't belongs to me, why I should advise don't give it to you? The money is not mine, the money is for the country.
Correct.
It's to help the people in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So why one set of people should decide another set shouldn't get? Which is totally unfair. We can't be keeping on each other in today's world in a small society. Because you push a man tomorrow down, the same man you're going to want to help you back up when somebody push you down. And I can't understand why we're living like that.
We should
because
not be,
COVID's
but it's
supposed to
happening.
be teaching us a lesson. We got to come together.
What's the lesson, Quincy?
Well, right now, we're not listening. Because last week I listened to the Minister from Tourism, and certain things he said about the capacity of the boat and estimated capacity. And
40 to 60%.
The tours them ain't coming off at the regular time anymore. So I could tell you know what happened to taxi drivers. taxi drivers now going to be start working for a salary where you ain't control yourself. When a man call you and say, I got a job for you, if he ain't call you, no work for you.
Yes. But let me...
And that's why it started way back. From since Kisco started employing taxi drivers, them buy their own vehicle, Phoenix do it, Cantos do it, and now the government want to get involved to sideline taxi drivers. And you know where that come from? When taxi drivers choose, and I hear a big man, when I say a big man, a man who's supposed to be educated, who was in tourism long before me as a taxi driver, said that the taxi drivers is the only set of people that the government controlling as to know the income. And when you all was trying to get involved in that, when I spoke about it, nobody studied me because it was all about money. But when you're going to tell a man, when you're going to give a man your business, and he work out how your business going, to control, he going to take away your business from you.
And you have a business license.
Yeah, but come to talk about that. And this same program we're doing, I'm going to tell you that we got to get control of them number plate. When a woman call in and say, what are you talking about? Whoa, whoa, whoa. But she still came back on the radio recently and cried.
Okay.
Because I was showing her she don't have a business. She has an occupation. And when she thinks she had business on the boat, what happened to her? That's what you see. Because when I look at something, I don't look at things from one angle. I don't flip it around, twist it around, get information from different countries. So when I start talking,
you're informed.
Yes, because Sakoti, over the years, I started with the association from St. Kitts to Laimi, from St. Kitts to Rebels to Laimiga, then I stopped working for people.
They were the rebels?
I do my own thing. Because what I'm saying, why I should, say for instance, the government go to St. Kitts Taxi Association and say, I want to see your pay list for these guys for blah, blah, blah. I even go to Cantos and request it. They have an idea how they should tax you.
An assessment.
If they should, yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Because they know your income. And when the minister, I wasn't there, what I understand, I wasn't there. So third-hand information. When you're going to say the money that you make in a week, you can take your money to make it.
I heard
now,
that.
Some people just can't make it.
I refuse to believe that. I heard people say he said it. I just refuse to accept it. I wasn't there. I'm saying, how would that make sense? They said, yes, you said it, so I don't know.
Because, listen, in the same meeting, when the guys, I think it was last year, when they were talking about safari in front of taxi drivers, when I listened to the rebroadcast this Sunday, the minister said, I'm not in St. Kitts, I'm calling from overseas. And he said, Port Zante is running like a business. And what my common sense tell me, the reason why he put the safari in front of the taxi, he already know how much the ordinary taxi man was making, because the slip that you give back to go back to see how much the tourist is spending. He didn't know how much the safari was making, so he put the safari to get the idea, because remember, the safari is supposed to be a business like, what you call, thing fee.
What?
When you do the work, every tour you do, you're supposed to pay back something to inland revenue.
Yeah.
Right. But then they couldn't tax you because they ain't know if you make
no
it or
way of
not.
assessing, because even the pink slip. So example, they can send you to Fries Bay with 10 persons. There's no guarantee you're getting back. So you have to record a one-way.
But they only, okay, good. So take the benefit of the doubt. Even if they assess you halfway, they have an idea. So in putting the safari in front of the taxi, an average now, he could say, well, this is what a safari driver make per day. So when inland revenue rate, for the, what you call the thing, where you're supposed to pay per passenger?
Head tax?
Yes. When they write you for it now, they have enough information on you. So could they say, well, okay, if you make $600, pay and 5.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? At least they have something to assess you on.
I think it's $2 easy to charge,
Per head.
Yeah.
I think no. In $1.50 US will come down to 4 EC per head.
No. The inland revenue or the thing, it was fixed.
No, on a tour.
On a tour.
how much tax per year, and something like, depends on the amount per head, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying, everything now, why should you let a man make millions when the government is assisting and then getting back nothing out of it?
Well,
you understand what I'm saying? Because the taxi driver gets certain concession.
I support a system where every business would pay the due tax to the government. It was a free-for-all, etc. So putting mechanisms in place to be able to form an assessment to apply the requisite taxation, I had nothing with that. No problem with that.
I had nothing against it because you apply for a business license and you sign the document that to agree to it.
Yep.
So why you run away from it? I have nothing with that because what I'm saying, right? If the guys them going to apply for concession, and this is a lot of money, revenue is losing from giving you concession to promote these things.
Yeah.
Well, after you don't get one concession, two concession, three concession,
pay the requisite taxes.
You can't be floating on your own now than to go back to the government again.
Well, there was a time frame. You could only get one or two in a certain time frame. They gave you that, right?
Yeah, but so what you're saying? Over a lifetime, you can get it for lifetime.
If you pay the requisite taxes. Because as a self-employed person, many of us was not paying into the social security scheme.
Okay, good.
And that was one of the issue where they said you didn't qualify for the stimulus because as a self-employed person, you must be able to contribute. You should be contributing.
But, okay. But then also from social security, then you still the same tax back to inland revenue as a tour operator. Soon you will have to pay that too.
And when you apply,
because they have your record.
When you would apply,
you're taking the money, but you're not paying it.
Right. When you would apply for concession, you had to show by records that you were paying your social security contribution because you're asking for maybe a $40,000 concession on a vehicle.
Right.
So they say, hey, if we gonna give you this thing, you have to show it by records that you are contributing. And so the mechanism put in place to assess how much you would make and how much tax you should pay. Nothing wrong with that. But
I don't have no dispute with that. But what I'm simply saying, when the pandemic hit, all who had business license, at least they could have said, "But you can't get $1,000 but $62 there." Because what I'm saying, right? I can't look for the same share as a man who is qualified. But at least, boy, you can get a whole bread, but see a half there.
All of us will
You
hurt
can get a half, but see what the crumbs could do for you.
I hear you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Well, some was told to go to the
say if you ain't there, don't come.
Some was told to
give you something.
Some was told, those who were told they didn't qualify for the 1,000 per month for 3 months to go to PEP. But even there, a lot of folks didn't get through.
Not PEP, they got to the poverty alleviation. Not PEP, it wasn't the PAP.
Yeah, PAP.
but what I'm saying, well, Secretary, I have a problem with that program.
The PAP?
Don't call it poverty, call it financial assistance.
But you're alleviating poverty.
No.
No?
No. Call it a financial assistance. How much poor people in St. Kitts? You only got like a couple of them like them fellas who live and like pinners and the other guys.
The poverty gap may surprise you, eh?
Huh?
The poverty gap may surprise you. A lot of people, a lot of persons are operating on credit.
Listen, Sakoti.
They owe courts, they owe this, they owe that. A lot of us in credit. I'm listening.
A lot of people in St. Kitts are living about the income which they don't have no reason to. Why are you going to go buy a man do and see he got two fridge or two TV and I know I can't afford it and I go and credit the TV and next thing I end up in jail?
Last week
that may end up with?
Last week I went down to this place in Port Zante, a business place to buy, electronic. And I bought it. Then the guy showed me a fridge for $8,000. Would you like to buy a fridge? I said, no. I don't want a fridge.
You don't need it.
He said, I give you a discount. I said, that's a car. I don't need it.
Secretary, a lot of people buy things that they see other people have and they don't even know to use them.
Fridge costs $8,000. That's a car. He said, we give you discount. We give you discount. And they're very aggressive. And people go in there and fall into those traps. So you're right. You have to know when to walk away. You can't afford it. Don't assume. Because this economic situation is really, really rough. We're hoping, as I mentioned, the minister would have mentioned the capacity of the ships versus what they may bring, 40 to 20% of the capacity. So even though they come in, we're not back to full sail as yet. And I think when you mentioned about the tours, there was an arrangement in place that the tours could only come off at 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Now they've relaxed that, so they can come off at any time. So you may have misunderstood that. The guests can now come off at any time rather than being restricted to coming off at 10 and then at 1. Mm-hmm.
May misunderstand that, you know. What I'm simply saying is that if the guests then go come off at any time, it's restricting you from making more money.
How so?
So we're going to actually, no, because if a guy call you and tell you, listen, I want you to do something for me, I'm going to call you when I'm ready. Mm-hmm. Would you do anything else but just wait for the call?
You're on hold.
Right. So what going to actually happen? That's where cantors and the other people are going to come in and pay people a salary to work. Because once you pay a man a salary, he just relax, he ain't got nothing to worry about.
Correct.
But when a taxi man going to be the fuming, but I could have been doing this and I could have been doing that. Bam, his phone ring, but you can't come, you know. When he count the amount of money he lose to the amount of money he going to make. But he make a commitment to wait for these people.
But here's what. Some guests have some on-board activities. They want to go to a spa, they want to do the hair, they want to do it at 2 o'clock. So they want to come off earlier, go on a tour. And not be say, oh, you can only leave the ship at 10. It conflicts with the other schedule they have in the ship. So they can come off earlier and go on a tour in a free line. That was a consideration.
With all due respect, right? Mm-hmm. I take the consideration, you know. But who taking our consideration?
Well, it's our job.
We are legal hustlers. So how you can restrict my day that I only could make X amount of dollars on this day? That's what I'm saying. So when we think that we're doing something, we're getting poorer. Because if you had something to do in the morning at 10 o'clock, so for instance, you had something to do like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they tell you, come to work today. You might be there and all day, and when they do call us about the people and change their mind, some people cancel. You're done. You're done.
These are the person on the ship.
Hold on, let me explain something to you. You know what put a lot of taxi drivers in a financial difficulty even before the pandemic?
Tell me.
That first 25. When you go in that first 25 and you realize you cannot make the target that that's what you're supposed to make, and they push you back for another day, and they push you back for another day, and they push you back for another day. And then 3 days, 3 ship days, you ain't make no money. And then on the 4th ship day, you walk out by, you're going to take wherever come. So you're looking to make this 200 US, but you only make 100 US because you walk out by, I don't let 3 days pass me, I'm going to let this day pass me.
You know something?
You know that's what put most of the taxi drivers in a financial difficulty.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Maximum when they make minimum.
I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people was on the perception. They couldn't understand why you have 3 large ships in ports and people could not make money down there.
But that's because it's the mentality. Why are you looking for maximum? Look for minimum. You're going to reach to the maximum because you mean tell me, I'm going to live from 3 days.
You mean cut the price
and
run?
The money?
You mean cut the price and run?
That's a lot of them. Because they get in the line waiting to make this 200 US and 3 days then, and then when they make the 200 US, you mean so you only make 200 US for the whole week?
So you prefer to cut the price and run?
Not cut the price and run. What I'm simply saying, if 4 people come and they want to do an island tour, it's better than waiting for 8 people who ain't coming.
Yeah, but at the same time, when those folk come to you,
I can't make the 200 by making 80.
The person
who
would
happen.
The person who overhear your conversation say, I'll go for 60.
What's that?
While you agree to go for 80, the person next to you who would have overheard your conversation say, I'll go for 60.
No. What I'm saying, Sakuti, I'm talking about inside the first 25.
That was a structure designed to guarantee work.
Yes.
Some ships
work
better than others.
The first 25, right? And 6 people come to do an island tour, but it is not adding up to the money that they perceive I should make in my schedule rotation. So, why should I say, well, by the 6 people is $40 less than the 200?
I hear you.
So why I should look, why I can't go with that, because it is better than nothing at all than to study it to go back the next day. And I ain't sure I'm going to get a job the next day either. That's what I'm simply saying. So people stay in the line, let the number roll over, when they wasn't, so they don't realize that they were getting poorer to let the number roll over than to be traveling and a half a loaf than to get a loaf at all. And that's what mess up a lot of them, because they got there for days and they didn't realize every day you miss, you got hospital TDC to meet. You can't go up and tell them, well, your number didn't play.
As you pointed out, things were not quite rosy long before COVID hit.
I know.
So you made the point.
Secretary, let me tell you something, right?
Anyway, try to wrap up because I got to take a station break at the moment. Huh?
It's 6 years before COVID hit, I left Port Zanta, you know. Because I realized before administration changed, things was going down. And when administration changed, people were pushing me down. So when people start pushing me down, I say, I too old for that, I move.
All right.
You know.
We're going to pause now for a word from our sponsors, Quincy.
The ignorance too, right? A fella with a small vehicle can't get the passengers, but he went and buy a bigger vehicle.
Quincy, we're going to take a station break.
Yeah.
Right. We pause for a word from our sponsors.
Drop everything and come now to Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessory Center for their big Drop Everything sales event for the rest of 2021. Go to Hosford's Auto Accessories and Parts Center, where they'll be dropping 30% off select accessories, 20% off car batteries. But the rubber really hits the road with this deal. 20% off all tires, or get one tire free with a purchase of 4 tires. Buy 4 tires, get 1 free from now until the end of 2021. So drop everything and come now to Hosford's Auto Parts and Accessories Drop Everything sales event. Now dropping 30% off select accessories, 20% off batteries and tires. Or buy 4 tires, get 1 tire free. Drop everything and go now to Hosford's Auto Accessories and Parts Center. We are the best. The Federation's favorite auto parts and accessories store.
Welcome back to the program, folks. Quite a lot was revealed during that last call. This is a long-standing taxi and tour operator, and always have some interesting insight as to how things should flow or not. So appreciate that. And we now go back to the phone lines. Caller, welcome to the program. You live on Voices. Tick to the dictate. Give a chance, try and get back in. As we're discussing most of many things. The last caller spoke about what's happening at Port Zanta, what was happening, how it was going down. And we take this call. Caller, you live on Voices.
The King.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Boy, I'm trying to control myself. Seriously.
How so?
I thought for a minute that the guy, your last caller, was in studio with you.
How so? Why?
Anyway, let me get
you don't be on for a long time also. Once there are no calls coming in, we let the caller speak. And you two are the times when people figure that you're on the line.
All right, I hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, to the caller who said that I must get my stats right pertaining to Deuteronomy chapter 28.
Mm-hmm.
And he also mentioned Israel.
So the reference was to the Israelites are not Africans.
Okay. Now here we go again, because I think he went further back in the book of Deuteronomy where he mentioned a chapter. I don't know if you remember which chapter he said
7.
to look for something. Chapter 7?
I think he said you were chapter 8, but there's something in chapter 7. And he may have referenced another.
Let me explain this.
Okay.
You see, we know that those who have caused destruction on the continent of Africa, structural destruction and human genocide, they have inserted themselves today as the narrative of what we're reading today in the Black Book. Now, they told us in the book that the Word of God was written by inspired men of God. The question we have to ask ourselves, who were these inspired men, because you and I were not there, and those who were inspired are not around today. But the geographic space and the history of what was established from the beginning, those structures were destroyed. Who caused this destruction?
Hello?
The king. You do your own survey. I'm referring to the human race and who have destroyed, who have killed. Because earlier last week I asked the question that when we pray and we ask for forgiveness, what is our sin? What is our sin that we ask of forgiveness? Because the theology of the image that we have in the Messiah today, and looking at what is being breached out upon our race of people globally, does it fit? Does it fit that the image that they gave us in the book, looking at what is happening to the black race, the life of the Christ that they gave us, does it fit what they're doing today? The way they kill us without mercy? Now, the caller mentioned the Israel. Do you know that the UK, England, along with other countries, have created what we now have today as Israel and Egypt in a geographic space which is also on the platonic plate of the African continent, simply because they are of a different ethnicity. Their color is different. Everything that they have done, the destruction, structural destruction, the genocide on our people, the conversion that they converted us into Christianity, is to isolate that Africans weren't the chosen people. They have went to the extreme to make that point, and they did it. It was brutal. So when he's talking about the Israel today, and this is for the sheriff in Africa too, because he likes to say the Israel today is a mighty nation. They know why they set that up. They know why they set that up. Again, it is to isolate the true chosen people who are you and me, our ancestors on the continent of Africa. They did all that to say, if you know what, the Catholic Church. Let me say something to the caller. Tell him to Google Pope Nicholas.
I'm sure he's listening.
Nicholas, the fifth, sorry. And let him get his story, his history of what the Catholic Pope Nicholas decree that he put upon the Africans in Egypt. I mean, he's talking about a geographical space today that they have set up and called Egypt and Israel today, and destroyed what was ours. The king. I am not even emotional here, but I just want our people.
You're measured. You're measured.
The politics, the politics that is in the word that we're reading from, because again, the inspired men of God who wrote the book were our ancestors. It was transposed from those who exodus from Egypt, as it is in the book, and went into the.
I got a question for you, Journey.
Sorry?
You just said that the inspired men of God were our ancestors, but a while ago you questioned who they were.
No. I am not questioning who they were. I am stating that what they put in the book and gave us, they have inserted themselves as the narrators and the characters in the book. Remember also that the book that we're reading is a version which tells you and me that the original is hidden, but the truth cannot be hidden forever. That's the point I'm trying to bring across to our people. The UK and other powerful nations have created what they now have as Egypt and Israel today, just to keep us distracted from where it all began. This is what I'm saying, the king. The evidence is there. They have destroyed. And it is in the book too. It is in the book that they say, oh, when you come upon these people, destroy from mother, father, suckling and destroy their structures. They are telling us what they did to us in order for us to see them as the characters. This is a fallacy. It's a fallacy, the king. We are the firstborn. I mean, why is it that no other race are being targeted like we? Look around, the Chinese, the Indians. Okay, yes, the Indians was enslaved too, just like us. But they're paying
Civilization over the age of time has conquered, enslaved many other civilizations. Africans were not the only ones enslaved. This go back to eons, way, way back before our history was recorded. When I say our history as it relates to Africa, civilizations beyond that, way back, has conquered and enslaved other civilizations. So I would say that we are the only one who've experienced this.
Civilization began on the continent, on the Nile River, with the custodian who were created from the beginning.
I should say other so-called civilizations.
It goes beyond what they gave us in the book pertaining to Noah, to Adam and Eve. It goes way beyond that. It began with us, our ancestors, the king.
Okay.
It is there. But like I said, just like how they gave us their curriculum in our schools, they broke us away from our Christianity, they broke our back, just as Lord Macaulay said in his letter to the British Parliament. But you don't like to hear me repeat. I have to repeat it. Nothing matters.
But I don't like to hear you repeat.
Matter, the king. So let that guy who is talking about the geographic space of where Israel is and Israel is the chosen. We are the chosen people. That's why they hate us. They know our history so well. That's why they are the antithesis of us. You and I cannot kneel on and nobody's neck and kill them. That has spilled over because of the design that make our condition now. Sadly, that they tell us, and let me say this, and I'm going to finish up now.
Please, because I have a caller from Charlotte trying to get in.
Christianity is external.
External.
Spirituality is internal. They tell us everything in the book about thou shalt not in Christianity. Spirituality that we had is I will not. Christianity is external. Thou shalt not. Spirituality, I will not kill. I will not steal. That's why when Lord Macaulay made his observation, there was no prison. The community, everybody was one. So to that caller, I'm sorry for him.
Nah, it's a point of view that you express yours, he expressed his. They don't need to be sorry for her and figure we're the only one who's right. It's called voices, okay? So I appreciate your fervor, appreciate your call. And we have someone from Charlotte trying to get in. Hope she gets in before the program ends. I've got me just about 12:55. So are we due for a break or? We got a phone call. Caller, you're live on Voices. Welcome to the program.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
I like to start my program at home because, I'm a taxi driver and that is how I come across. But, I wouldn't miss a beat when it comes to things biblical and things cultural and the like.
Okay.
One of the knowings as to who Israel are is like, well, as time progresses, nations become of nations. People become nations. But let's say we're going back and we say, well, okay, the prophecy or, you will be like stars in the skies and sand on the shore. You're going to be found about amongst all nations. This is one of the, the testing rod, the gear, something to as to who Israel are. If one was to do a survey and go into all the nations of the earth today, just recently we will find, Chinese was in the Caribbean, maybe in Jamaica also, because we know their history. But just recently you will find certain ethnicity or certain persons who we call nations, people from different nations, are in certain metropolitan areas like New York, California, and so on. But travel the world over. Travel the whole world over. And if you don't find what you call an African or a black person.
As opposed to?
I will owe you a dinner. That is one of the things that they say. You would be dispersing to all nations. They said all nations. That's one of the things. Now, even who we call persons of Israel, if you go to the book of Revelation, you will find that it says, woe unto you who call yourself Jews, synagogue, and are not the synagogue of Satan. Also, it will say, back in the Deuteronomy, it will say, the word Babylon and the word Egypt, some prominent ancient nation, would be mentioned as examples, as reference points when it comes to saying, well, okay, see, you were in captivity in Babylon, this is it, you were in captivity in there. We know, okay, according to the narrative, the Red Sea was parted. According to the narrative, the Red Sea was parted for the children of Israel to leave Egypt to go to Sinai, which is still in Egypt, but nevertheless, they're going to Canaan, just across the border. Okay? Mm-hmm. We know that Abraham, they came in, did not have to cross over a body of water to come into Egypt. Others came in that way. Joseph and the story, they came down. However days it took them. So to say, using a ship now, to say we're taking you from this point to that point, it meant that you have to look and observe history as to, like, for instance, Pope Nicholas V, when the Inquisition started, and it's to expel all of these things. The king, you know that there were persons here, one will claim that they came before certain colonizers. They were called the Huguenots or Huguenots.
The French, yes.
From out of Portugal,
yep.
The Iberian Peninsula. Investigate who are the Huguenots. Investigate who are the Taínos, or the Tanos.
Taínos.
Thank you. Because their language correlates the language of the fancy people. It's the same language. It's the same language tree that the fancy people, they call it tree. TWI. Correspond with the Taino language that these people was in Suriname and whatever. Because we have heard of the 4 tribes that were on these islands. The Greater Archipelago and the Lesser Antilles. And once we are going to do these investigations, we are going to come up with a foregone conclusion that Israel migrated over the years. So if there was in a space, like I said, Cana, K-A-N-A, which became Canaan, Canaan, became Ghana. It was a corruption of the way you spell Ghana, G-H-A-N-A. Just like the Greeks corrupted the word like Egypt, likewise the Arabs corrupted the word Cana to Ghana. And where is Ghana? It was a great empire, and what country assumed the name Ghana today? So if you follow the trail of the migrational pattern, the migratory pattern, you will find where these people move for whatever reason. Greener pasture, or because encouragement of people who want to keep them.
In a nutshell,
religious ideologies and others.
In a nutshell, you support the narrative of Journey. Is that it?
Pardon me?
In a nutshell, if you were to put it in a nutshell, you support Journey's narrative.
Yes. You see what happened? I'm trying to build on what the person who called in and talked about it. For the simple fact that ships were mentioned. We got shipped all over the world by even other things. The Inquisition forced in the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, to ship us.
And you call on the line?
To ship us. In 1422, we were shipped from the British Isles. Went into what you call St. Thomas, which is called St. Thomas, a little island. Went into Angola and in a certain coastal part of West Africa, and then got shipped again over here. So you see the ship path. You would not have had to leave from what we call Israel today, or Palestine.
By ships.
To ship anyone back to Egypt. But the word Egypt at that time, when that reference was made, was a prophecy of the future. Whereas persons would be sent off by ship to distant lands where becomes the new Egypt or the new Babylon, with those reference points of Egypt and Babylon seeing those reference points because Babylon and Egypt was so ancient, and their civilization was.
Africa, we're coming up to a
and
break.
I want to tell you, Babylon was on the river of Egypt also.
Okay.
So it was in that same geographic space. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much for that contribution as we pause for a word from our very kind sponsors.
It's a all sales event for 3 days only. This Thursday, 4th November to Saturday, 6th November. All you can get at 25% off store-wide on all discountable items at Hospital's Building and Nevis Centers, on-scene kits and Nevis. Yes, for 3 days only this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All with discounts of 25% off store-wide on all discountable items. All the savings. All the discounts. All the quality products. All at 25% off for 3 days only at Hospital's Building and Nevis Center. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
At 3 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour, you're logged on to WINNFM 98.9 on the FM dial. You're listening to Voices. My name is Socrates, and we go straight to the phone lines. That is, caller, you're live on Voices.
The King, briefly, very briefly, Journey. Your last caller mentioned that the book says that you shall be like the sand on the shore and the stars in the heavens.
Yes.
And you shall inherit a land that is flowing with milk and honey. Where is that land? To the caller who was questioning what I quote in Deuteronomy, I want him to ask himself, where is the land of milk and honey today? Because if the Israelites had the land of milk and honey, why Africans are being exploited with all the raw materials that they have today by the West and all the superpowers? So the land of milk and honey is on the continent of Africa. So let him ask himself this question: the land of milk and honey, and where is all the raw material that are being exploited by the West? Because the land of milk and honey is not honey from the bee and the milk from the cow. It is what they are exploiting today, and that's why they twisted the word in the book. They corrupted the word by saying Esau sold his birthright. You're gonna disinherit your firstborn, the king? Would you disinherit your firstborn?
They say he was tricked.
It was done with subtlety, and they sidelined the woman because Jacob asked his mother, "How can I commit such wickedness?" And what did she say? "Let this sin be upon me." Today they told us that they have seared the heart with a hot iron by telling us, "Oh, we can continue to kill them and let this sin be on us and our generation to come." Wake up, mister.
Geographical Israel was created in 1947. Is that correct?
Sorry?
Geographical Israel was created in 1947. Is that correct? After the Six Day War?
I'm not quite sure. But
Yeah, I think it was around that. There was a 6 Day War, where they got some land.
If you know something, share it, the king. If you know something, share it. I'm not aware of it, but I know today where they're now calling Israel and Egypt was created by the superpower.
Well, research how that came about. It was in 1947, I think, after 6 Day War. I forgot the name of Ben Gurion was the general who advanced and took over a swath of land. That's why you have the issue with the West Bank, because land was claimed from the Arabs.
I will check it out.
Okay. That's when the state of Israel was created. Not before. So it could not be the land of milk and honey. Are you still there? Okay. It's gone. Call 11 Voices. We're within a phone call. Okay. Interesting. Somebody mentioned that I need to engage Reverend Cumberbatch. And then somebody said, no, it's not a program. It's not a religious It's not a station where you go and you have your a discourse. It's called Voices. People call with their varying opinions. And, okay, I'm going to shut up. Caller, you're live on Voices. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
Hey, Sako.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Again.
You again.
All right. I don't really mean to be selfish, but if we keep talking about history
Mm-hmm.
and going way back so far, when we going to get off the ship?
The engineers applauding.
Because, I mean, we have present problem. If we got to solve this present problem to think about our financial future, you know, but we keep talking about Africa is... What I got? They're over there.
They're over there?
We are here suffering. We got to talk about what's going on in St. Kitts and how we going to solve the problem here.
Okay. Talk about what's going on in
over
St.
there?
Kitts. Talk about
That's
what's
what
going on
the
in St.
problem
Kitts.
is. That's why I tell you, Secretary, for quite a while I didn't call in and voices because sometimes I don't even listen voices no more. I listen to Sugar Ball chatting nonsense and playing music.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sugar Ball to me sometimes is more entertaining because you hear people talking about Africa, Israel. Listen, what's going on in St. Kitts?
A lady told me in the circus recently that she listened on Mondays when I'm on because I said to her I was on Wednesday. She said, I don't listen on Wednesday. I listen on Mondays, so you find each person have
I
their
heard you on, I think, what, Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Or Wednesday you was on.
I'll be back again on Wednesday.
Last week, I think. Yeah, a little bit of you, yeah.
So how about I have you in on Wednesday? We have a little chit chat. How about that?
What?
Mm-hmm.
Like, continue me clock my shop, yeah?
I'll pick you up.
No, you ain't pick up what I'm saying. I tell you, it's 6 years now, my clock ain't ticking. When I say clock, I mean my financial
I hear you.
clock. Because when, like I'm telling you, the situation at Port Zante, like a couple of years ago, a partner said, why when you coming back? I said, when I start to be here, why? I said, you say, that mean you not come back?
It's true.
Listen, Sakoti, you see that fence, right? You think the fence is a joke?
The current bubble area?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your opinion on it? What's your thoughts?
Well, my opinion on it?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to put a fence to control, because, listen, when there was a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
you had war on Port Zante.
A free for all.
When now there's a little work, what happen?
It's a controlled situation.
A motherboard trying to feed the chicks?
Yeah, but it's now it's all
you
about
go watch them
control.
carefully?
And you're told it's a phase-in approach.
Phase in?
The phase-in.
Wait, but let me ask you a question. Up to when you phase in, the amount of people who ain't getting the money for years,
Mm-hmm.
and people behind them to take away what they got. What do you think of that in Port Zante?
There was a chap who was very, very expressive. On the first day or the second time she was in port, he didn't get any work. He spoke about his investment. And somebody reported they understood his anger, but his approach was just wrong. But frustration expressed and manifest in ways that you may not like. The guy was enraged. As a matter of fact, during the meeting we had there last week, he was suggesting that we strike. Because this and that.
They're going to solve the problem.
I know that, but I'm saying he was so enraged because he said he made an investment, and how dare you tell him he can't get work? So your point is well taken. If when it was a free for all, people down there, now it's a control thing, and many folks who would not have made any monies over the years and are desperate to get back and pay the mortgages, what the behavior would be like. But it's controlled, security is in place, they call you. If they don't call you, you can't go to Port Zante.
But, Sakoti, like I'm saying, the sign, stop, look, and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Those people that they dress in khaki and white is green or blue? What do you call it?
Blue.
Good.
Island
Why did they
constables.
put them in place long before the pandemic?
They were.
Why did they put them in place?
I was part of that discussion because I pointed out some areas that used to be patrolled. You may recall they had what they call tourism patrol. They had police officers up at the industrial site, down at the Senate office, etc. And that was removed because there was a demand for the police to be elsewhere. We had a situation with a crime. And so from a certain discussion, they created what's called island patrol. And so they're there to fill that gap where the police now, the trained police officer, no longer have to stay and do like security duty to make sure that the tourists get from up the Deepwater Harbor downtown. So they came in to fill that gap.
He came in to fill the gap.
Yep.
Were they harassing taxi drivers?
Harassing,
Mm-hmm.
policing, because there are times we need the policing. You know the behavior of many of us in Posante.
Okay. Well, my bad for the language when I say harassing.
Yes.
Okay.
Many of us
But
don't.
do you really feel, right,
Mm-hmm.
based on the current situation, do you personally feel that fence will come down
Yes. Yes.
and get bigger? Don't laugh. Somebody don't laugh. Listen to me carefully.
Mm-hmm.
They put the barriers in front of the arrival hall and they brought it in like a funnel. And my observation that the drivers put a wall of defense in front of the entrance or the exit so the people cannot get out. You think that would be allowed much longer?
I'm not following you.
Okay.
When the numbers increase.
In front of the arrival hall, there were some barriers.
Oh, yes.
And then come down to the exit as the people coming off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
It came in like a funnel.
Funnel, yes.
Then the drivers will barricade, put a wall of defense in front of the exit.
Mm-hmm.
So the people has restriction in coming off.
Yeah, there was a bit of an intimidating situation. It was a kind of hustle.
Okay. Do you think that will be continued?
That will not be allowed in future now.
So they'll come back defense. Because in my rotation, who is going to stop me from going on the port?
Well,
If I'm not on rotation.
they'll notify you that your rotation is up, so you have to be down there.
I understand.
Uh-huh.
But what happened to the guy who in the free line? How are you going to control him on the dock now?
Well, the other two presidents and I had discussions as to how we want to approach that. But it's where you assemble. It won't be to the front.
Where you going to assemble now?
Queuing down the corridor on the left. If you're facing
down the left.
Yeah, if you're facing the ocean, you can on the
you're going
corridor on the
from
left.
smoke and booze downwards.
No. On the left, if you're facing the ships, that corridor where you drive down to go to the back of there, that's secure.
So basically, you're talking about on the eastern side.
Correct.
So that's where the fellas them going to be holding out and hoping somebody will come and ask them for a taxi?
Well, there'll be dispatchers in the game again. So you find you're next in line. It will be first come, first serve system. Even with the safaris.
Well, let me ask you
There are
a
two
question.
queues.
I don't want to ask this one as a dumb question, but let me ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what you're telling me now, all like one barrel at the Mobile Avenue near now, all down to the passageway inside there. What's going to be happening inside there?
I don't know. I really
don't
don't know. That's a walking space for the guests to check out the shops. But you won't have persons walking and trying to I shouldn't say solicit because you have a business license, but to get business from those walking passengers.
So that's what I'm saying. So those passengers that in the freeway walking, will I be prevented from going to hustle them?
But that's why you have the island constable.
Sakoti, that's what I'm trying to say to you. Things down there is going to get worse because people are more desperate now. Because when a fellow use up his last and hoping to replace it,
the fellow had 3 safari
right now,
trucks.
A lot of people is on the last try, no, Sakoti.
The fellow had 3 safari trucks and then got 4 with the anticipation that you could cut the price and just take that. Those days are gone.
But that's what I'm saying.
So in the rotation, you can only work one vehicle per rotation. You can't have 2 or 3 in the line.
That's what I'm saying. People is on the last straw.
But look where we came from a few months ago. I look at the promise that something is happening. You have to know how to milk the teeth. You just can't just cut off the whole header. You got to take your time and rebuild. Because what was happening there should not have happened. As you spoke, you left down there because of what was allowed to happen.
But it happened for a reason. You see the reason playing out now?
People were encouraged to invest because you look very
But
lucrative.
what I'm saying, you see the reason playing out now, they're now controlling you. Because they know that there was a behavior problem on the dock because of the amount of people that was taken before the court. They know it was a problem. But there wasn't the problem by bringing in more uncontrolled drivers.
Yes.
So now to make it, like I say, what the word is dictatorial. That's what they got to do now.
Dictatorial?
To control it. Because, secondly, we might see it that way, but for the behavior that we used to portray on that dock, the ships that might just pull out.
But now you're making sense. You're dovetailing that will not be allowed to happen again.
That's what I'm saying. And if you got this phase in the post of people and up in people's face and different things, it can't happen.
A phase and approach does not encourage that.
But the fence has to get bigger to prevent that. Because this thing now where you have this thing and up in people's face and harassing people, that has to discontinue.
Quincy, unless your number is in the rotation, you will not be allowed on the dock.
So that's what I'm saying. So how, okay, with the amount of opening the dock, how they will kick me off the dock?
I just tell you, the island constable in the blue shirt.
You got this thing like a joke,
But you asked me about the island constable. That's their function, to maintain order down there. Okay. So unless they call you, you cannot go to the dock.
Okay, so Sakoti.
Yeah.
So you realize that even the COVID didn't come. They were planning for us.
That needed to be addressed.
What do you mean the been addressed? Were you ain't seen it play now?
The thing that you walk away from, that chaos down there, needed to be addressed. Huh?
So now you're telling me them is the same people who are going to kick me off the dock. So what I'm saying, even if COVID didn't come, them people would still kick me off the dock. So it was coming.
Well, something had to be done because that chaos could not continue.
That's what I'm saying. Because when the guy said, you're coming back, I said, when I start to behave yourself, he said, well, that mean you're not come back?
So now, sir, now we have a chance to reset and put a structure in place. You maintain the order.
But the only way to maintain order and pose is to fence it.
Or see, are you advocating fencing the entire circumference?
No. It's something that we see now, something is happening and we ain't seen, You know the amount of millions invest and put and just open for all?
Yeah, but we also invest millions too.
Millions of dollars down there, Who doing night security? It's millions of dollars down there.
Yeah, but there are the security firms who are contracted to, the various levels. You have the port security, you have this and that, and people are invested also.
Security? I was there when the port security stand up and see something going on and didn't say nothing. I had to step in.
Okay.
You understand? The port security was right there, and I had to step in to save the day.
All right.
When it comes to security, people only go to collect money, the port security only in the marina,
But the presence alone serves as a deterrent.
Present?
I want to read something that was sent. I actually saw the news site this morning, so I want to thank for the contribution.
I'll let you read it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what I was referring to earlier. Elon Musk says he will sell Tesla shares to help world hunger if the UN can prove where the money is going to serve. I watched the news item this morning. Let's see if we can get more of it. And there was some skepticism expressed. He's making it conditional. He'd only give this amount of billion if the UN can prove to him where the money would... and he's viewed as the richest man in the world. Valued at $400 billion. I was trying to get the figures that he spent to go up to the stratosphere for 11 minutes. Virgin Atlantic was for a matter of seconds, and they went there, and they have it to play with. So he's saying that he will give, I forget the figure he mentioned, Jeff Paul was 11. Okay, the three of them went up. And the combined sum that they spent could easily, let me see if I can get the full text of what it says. No, he's just showing his portrait. And doesn't have enough money to hire a firm or organization to recommend where and how he could donate his money to make this most impact. The philanthropist put out this challenge to the UN seems like a shallow attempt. My sentiments exactly. If you want to help, you don't want to make it conditional. You've got the means to do it. Our response: Musk should use his considerable talent to solve the problem of global hunger. Hungry people cannot be productive and don't have the money, the energy to, or ability to be self-sufficient. Or Elon Musk could find qualified people to locate areas most at need and find people who can get the staples to them. Not on the tarmac like in Puerto Rico. Oh, that's a different story. That's a whole different story. But seriously, you have this guy, Joe Manchin, was talking about and the whole obstructionist approach to assisting people who are real need. You know, but it is what it is. That's the world we live in today. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And of course, to each campaign, political campaign from various platforms, we hear that the politicians are going to make things better. And in the Bible tell you, no, it's going to get worse. So who do you believe? We are people of faith. We want to believe things will get better. But progressively, it's getting worse. But we take the caveat, it's going to get worse before it get better. And we have this thing about going back to normalcy. There is no going back. There will be no going back to any sense of normalcy as we know it. That's changed and gone forever. We have to reset, restructure, etc. My clock is telling me it's 24 minutes past. I got about 6 more minutes to go. And if you want to join the conversation, I want to really thank Quincy for coming out of his cocoon, so to speak, and giving us his perspective and what he thinks is going to happen to Port Zante, what is needed to address what was happening. I know it's changed. I'm going to go back to the old format because that was a double negative. The optics were all wrong, out of control. So this gives us a chance to reset. One of the mechanism used, and it may not be a mechanism of sort, is that persons who will be engaged to work when the ships are in port will be called in a rotation. So no one who's not called can go to Port Zante and mill around. Even for those who have pre-booked events, those tour operators who can satisfy tourism, you have until 3 o'clock the previous day to present your information. I've got about 15 persons coming tomorrow. You have to pinpoint the time. If they do offshore at 10 o'clock, you'll be allowed roughly between 5 to 15 minutes to go there at that time in anticipation, collect your guests, and leave in the required manner. Not hanging out, say, well, I have some folks coming off for the next half an hour, let me just chill out here and mill around and interact with others. It's not going to happen. It's a very orderly process that will be observed. So, Quincy, it will not be allowed for anybody to go down there who is not on the roster to work on that given day. When you receive your call, you show up. If you don't, stay in the circus, go to the airport, go to Frigate Bay. So yes, we've been through a very rough phase. This is a new phase. We're easing back into a situation where we can be gaining again. We're told, as we anticipate, the ships will not be docking with the full capacity. Work will be limited, but at least there'll be something. Hopefully there'll be something for the folks who will be called to conduct the tours. Prescribed area or not, you have to manage this thing properly. It's a chance to reset, manage, and adjust as you go along. Not only the taxi operators, the country need it, because what we get in terms of payments, we circulate within the economy. We are mainly a service industry in that regard, and everyone has to play the part. So, stimulus packages apart, we come to the stage. As a matter of fact, this was the last one paid out by the government, 2 or number 3. It was mentioned that it will last until October. We're now in November 1st, so betwixt now and when the next payday comes, you're on your own. You have to husband your affairs in a manner to better support yourself, your family. The government is no longer going to come to the rescue. So we owe it to ourselves to conduct, prepare, and operate, understanding that the glass is currently half full. We used to go into circles and boast how much money we make and blah, blah, blah. Those days are gone. We're in a race to a very large extent, and the lending institutions have been encouraged to work with us. You know, moratoriums, etc. We are now seeing as of tomorrow the largest ships docking at Port Zante with the potential, no guarantees. But we have to start somewhere. It's a reset. We're getting there. I want to wish the folks who are going up tomorrow in the port a successful business day. I want to wish the Federation well in going forward. Just the best of luck. We come from a very dark place. We are re-emerging into the light. Slowly, we have to conduct ourselves with a mindset that this is starting all over again. It's going to be rough. So rough. But we can make it. It's going to be tough, but we can make it. I want to say good afternoon. Good day to all the folks who joined in. Locally, regionally, internationally. Thanks for listening. I am going to be back on Wednesday, God's willing. And as they say, the band plays on. I wish you peace. I wish you love and a much brighter and healthier tomorrow. Stay focused. Stay positive. Live and share.
It's happening again. By popular demand, we're doing it again. Yep, we're doing it again.